This is honestly one of those video topics that I kind of felt like we were going to make a video about eventually. Like, it was an inevitability at this point that this conversation would be happening when it comes to Detroit Red Wings' new signee, David Perron. Now, we already made a video going over Steve Yzerman and the moves he did, the players he acquired, Andrew Copp, Ben Chiarot, Perron, Kubalik, such a good cast of players here added onto the Red Wings that will definitely help them out in the short term. But for David Perron specifically, this is a conversation that, as I said, I feel like we were going to have. I just didn't really expect it to come so soon. So just to go over the entire profile here, because this is a very important part of the conversation, David Perron is 34 years old, 6'1", 203 is right-handed forward, signed till the end of 2024, making $4.75 million a season with the Red Wings. He has a modified no-trade clause for the next 2 seasons, and this is a guy that, as we noted, he is pretty old. He was drafted by the Blues back in 2007 before making that team eventually. He played elsewhere in Edmonton and Pittsburgh and Anaheim. He went over to Vegas, then he went back to St. Louis. He had 3 separate stints with the St. Louis Blues. The beginning stint that he had when he was initially drafted, his second stint started after touring with the Oilers, the Penguins, and the Ducks. He went over to Vegas for a year, and then he went back. This is a player that has been a St. Louis Blue through and through. Even though he plays for other teams once in a while, everybody kind of associates, okay, David Perron is a St. Louis Blue. He won the Stanley Cup with the Blues, which is a very appropriate kind of way for him to kick off his 3rd stint with the team. He was in the playoffs last year again with the Blues, where he had 13 points in 12 games, and in the regular season, he had 57 points in 67 games played. He's been a very good point producer for a few years now, and heading over to Detroit, this is why I'm saying, man, this guy's going to be a very good, very underrated player in the top 6 of the lineup. But we had ourselves an interview done with David Perron on The Athletic talking about his departure from the St. Louis Blues. Now, this article is behind a paywall. Again, it's on The Athletic. David Perron on his hurtful Blues departure. I'm still in a little bit of shock. Link in the description if you want to go ahead and read the article if you have The Athletic. It was published on August 1st, so 2 days ago. Because I wanted to talk about this on YouTube, though, we're going over onto NHLTradeRumors.me, where an article from yesterday goes over the same material, where David Perron opens up about leaving the St. Louis Blues organization, etc., etc. Now, before we get into this conversation, I just wanted to say this because it's a very interesting point to note when it comes to Perron and his relationship with the Blues. We've noted how he has played with St. Louis, he has played with Edmonton, Pittsburgh, Anaheim, and Vegas before going over to St. Louis for the 3rd and maybe final time, who really knows. He signed with the Red Wings after all these teams, and it's kind of interesting because if you go over to his cap-friendly page, you're actually going to realize that every single contract that David Perron has ever signed up until this Red Wings contract was signed with St. Louis. He signed his entry-level deal with that team back in 2007. Okay, that was 3 years long. It took him until 2010. In 2010, he signed a 2-year extension with the Blues, sticking on with that team until 2012. In 2012, he signed a very big contract. It was 4 years long. That took him until 2015-16. But in the middle of that contract, he actually got traded over to Edmonton. He got sent over to Pittsburgh at the next year's trade deadline, and then the Anaheim Ducks the deadline after that. And then he became a free agent in the 2016 offseason. Guess where he signed after? The St. Louis Blues. He signed a 2-year deal over there. In the latter half of that 2-year deal, he was picked up by Vegas in the expansion draft, and then as a free agent once more, he signed with St. Louis for 4 years. So even though he has played for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams already in the NHL, every single contract he has signed has been signed with Doug Armstrong of the St. Louis Blues. Is that correct? Doug Armstrong has signed all of them? Oh no, Larry Pillow from the first entry-level contract he has was the signee of that contract. But either way, Perron has had history with this team. So the fact that Steve Yzerman went out there and signed him to a 2-year contract in this year's NHL free agency period marks the very first time in Perron's long NHL career, which started in 07-08, that he has signed a contract with any other team not named St. Louis. This is what he said about his departure from the team and what it meant to him to see the St. Louis Blues let him go. I'm still in a little bit of shock that it didn't work out. The way the years went. I guess if you see my performance declining or something, then you're like, maybe there's something there that's still like raw to me. I just had to let some of the dust settle, and I guess I still have to let that happen. I just felt like that was going to be an easy extension to get done over the summer. I wasn't going to be crazy, I just wanted somewhere where I felt respected. After the performance, the loyalty, winning the Stanley Cup, all that combined, I just felt like if you wanted someone, you make it happen. You find a way. There's no excuse there for me. That's what is really hurting me for sure. I'm not saying it's going to be the right or the wrong decision from the team perspective, but I just kind of felt like I commanded and earned that a little bit. And man, that's some pretty harsh dialogue right there. Really laying the smackdown as to saying, yeah, I felt like with all of the history, the fact that I was drafted by this team, the fact that I had always come back to this team, the fact that I was loyal to this team, and the fact that we had so many good memories together, I thought the Blues would have respected me a little bit more and went out there and got a contract done. I thought it would be an easy extension, but no. If you really want somebody, you're going to go out there and you're going to pull off the necessary moves to keep them. And the Blues just unfortunately did not do that with me. So it's kind of funny to see him go out there and talk about his team in this way because, or his team is the Red Wings now, I guess, because everybody was kind of memeing, oh, when David Perron signs with whichever team, happens to be Detroit, they're just going to trade him back over to St. Louis at the trade deadline for a few picks and everything. Yzerman is going to get his draft stock boosted up because of this rental trade, and Perron is going to go back to St. Louis because he always goes back to St. Louis. It always happens like that. But with this quote over here, I think we're really starting to open our eyes as to how David Perron feels about the situation too, and he doesn't really feel all too great about it. Like, when you're using words and phrases like, that's what's really hurting me, I'm in a little bit of shock that we did not sign the extension. I wanted something somewhere where I felt respected. And it's kind of implied here that St. Louis is no longer that destination because of how they, I guess you could say, did not try to keep him. So, all in all, maybe this will be a really big chip on the shoulder of David Perron to prove everybody in the St. Louis organization wrong. And maybe not wrong, okay, that's kind of the wrong word to use. Maybe just kind of shove it in their face a little bit, like, hey, you guys, like, why'd you let me go? Why? I thought we were good, fam. I thought we would extend just like normal and it would be okay, but no, you guys just let me go. And that pisses me off, so let's go out there and score a hat trick every time Detroit plays St. Louis. How about we go ahead and do that? I said it the entire time, man, David Perron is a really good player still, so at the end of the day, if this whole thing of him leaving St. Louis and feeling like he wasn't really treated all too fairly kind of makes him into a better player, like if it inspires him to be better and he's playing with a chip on his shoulder or whatever, I feel like the Red Wings fan base is going to be in for a treat every time you see the St. Louis Blues come into town, every time you see David Perron go out there and score some points, every time you see David Perron set up, I don't know, Kubalik or Andrew Kopp or whoever else is there because you just added a pretty good solid scoring line to your team as Steve Yzerman did. So talk to me in the comments on your thoughts about David Perron and the comments that he made about his hurtful departure from the St. Louis Blues. Links to The Athletic as well as NHLTradeRumors.me will be in the description if you want to go ahead and read everything in its text form. I hope you enjoyed this video. Rolls 99 and bye.